In Madeleine Albright's speech to the graduating class of Mount Holyoke College, she talks about how women must empower themselves by taking different risks and persevering through many different difficulties. Some of the things that she mentioned, and to do so, she actually mentions a few rhetorical strategies, and a few of them, or one of them, is imagery. She uses imagery a lot in her presentation and her speech, as she says things like how women are being weighted down by their grief. When mentioning how they're being weighted down, people kind of imagine like a woman being held down by shackles, and there's like grief, and the grief is like this 1 ton weight that is just holding them down and not allowing them to move, and it's just stopping them from doing anything. So saying like how they're being weighted down by their grief just makes people imagine a much more, I guess, difficult scenario for those women. She also gives real world examples, how women are being left shattered, and how in some places violence left 3/4 of the population female. By mentioning that, people can see how different countries have become completely shattered and destroyed because men are in charge, and how since women aren't being in charge and how women aren't the ones doing things and aren't the ones fighting, the population's only being left female. A lot of the population's female because men are in charge and they're the ones who are deciding to go and fight. So these real world examples of countries that are like failing and suffering can make the audience see like, oh look, it's actually happening. It must be stopped, and women need to take initiative and do more, because in certain countries there's a problem, and the problem is that the men are in charge. She's also listing locations again. She mentions how all corners of the globe, such as Burma, Guatemala, Burundi, and Sarajevo, are suffering, and by listing these, she's making people realize that a lot of the places that are suffering are third world countries. They're the places that are facing most of the difficulties. Like some place in America, like, or Canada, places, England, where it's like a first world country. Women have more rights. Americans, and since the speech is being given in America, many American women's, they notice that women have like some hardships, but they're not noticing as much hardships as women in those third world countries, such as Burma or Burundi. So she's making the women see like, okay, women from these countries are taking risks and are doing all these things. Why aren't you guys taking risks and doing these things when you guys have a lot more opportunities? But women who have a lot less opportunity are doing these things and taking these risks. And then she uses personification when she says grief is reaching out across ethnic lines to rebuild their shattered society. So saying how like it's reaching out is just kind of exemplifying it, and saying that it just makes it more, I guess, severe, and how like it's reaching out, people can imagine it more and see like, oh, the grief is literally like, going and grabbing it, and the audience can get more of like a grasp of just how severe the situation is, and that they can still make a change, and that they should be making a change. So that's basically what her speech is talking about, how they need to go take risks, because some women are already doing it and the women are facing difficulties. So they, in America, who are given the opportunity, should go and take the risks.